Tom Nichols with the Meet the Candidate Take 5. My guest is Lloyd Sherman, candidate for the POA board. Lloyd, welcome to KVRE.
Thank you, Tom.
Let's find out something about you, your background.
Sounds good.
What about your background?
Well, I started out in the United States Navy. I spent 10 years with a bank in Seattle. Mm-hmm. I was recruited to join a company in Mississippi, and I moved from Seattle to Mississippi and became an owner of that company. Mm-hmm. We were acquired by a group out of Dallas called Affiliated Computer Services, ACS. Mm-hmm. And with that acquisition, I moved to Dallas, Texas, and finished my actual corporate career as a senior vice president and division manager of ACS. Mm-hmm. I then started my own business consulting firm, and for the last 12 years of my working career, that's what I was doing, working with small and medium-sized businesses.
Mm-hmm. What brought you to the village?
Well, when I finally retired, we moved to Panama. Mm-hmm. And met some people in Panama who lived in Panama and in Hot Springs Village. Ah. So when we returned back to the United States, we came on a tour of the United States, if you will, to some retirement communities. And we drove in here and said, this is home. Mm. So about 6 months later, we moved over here from Dallas.
What motivated you to run for the board?
Well, my wife wonders the same thing sometimes, but the financial situation of the village, I think, probably got my attention the most. And this last year during the budgeting process, I noticed that there weren't any discussions about how we were going to increase revenues, and if we weren't going to increase revenues, how we were going to reduce spending. Mm-hmm. And so that piqued my interest enough that I began following the financials pretty heavy. And that was probably the final decision that led me to wanting to run for the board. Was I just don't think there's enough financial understanding on the mm-hmm. board currently of what the actual position the village is in.
Mm-hmm. If we have more retirees moving in and we can increase the population, that is going to solve a lot of the financial problems, isn't it?
Well, it would. It'll take some time, but I think we're
that goes back to marketing, though.
It does go back to marketing, and we're not doing enough marketing. We need more target toward the retirees, as you had mentioned, and it needs to be in those states where people are leaving the states to go to other places mm-hmm. like New York, California, mm-hmm. Illinois. Michigan, Wisconsin. There's a lot of states where people are looking for other places to retire to, and we should be targeting those markets. Mm-hmm.
And as far as the cost is concerned, if you do targeting advertising like that, it doesn't cost that much.
No, it doesn't, particularly like we're doing right now on the radio. Mm-hmm. There's other ways to get to those people, too, through magazines. We should probably explore taking a look at AARP and find mm-hmm. out what kind of cost that would be to advertise in AARP. Mm-hmm.
But I understand if you go to the Internet and you put in retirement communities, you can't find Hot Springs Village. That's incredible.
Well, it's tough to find it. And it makes no sense. I just read an article this morning where Arkansas was listed as number 1 out of 35 states as the least expensive state to live in the United States. Mm. You would think that retirees would be interested in that, and we ought to be targeting that group of people with those kind of indications of how good a place this is to live, both economically and for all the amenities that we have here.
Mm-hmm. What are some other ideas that you would like to put forth?
Well, the financial stability and accounting is certainly one of them. You've targeted the marketing. Mm-hmm. That needs to be done. I think probably the other one that is one of my personal pet peeves is that I don't think the board is taking responsibility and control like they should. Mm-hmm. I believe they ought to be setting the agenda instead of what appears to be the management setting agenda. Mm-hmm. And that needs to be done. And our policies and procedures as they relate to the board being the instrument that provides the direction to the management. Those need to be clarified and identified for correction.
So the property owners vote for the POA board members. You'd like to see them step up a little bit.
I would. The board is supposed to represent the property owners. The property owners is the POA. Without the property owners, there is no POA.
And there wouldn't be any salaries either.
There wouldn't be any salaries. That's correct. So, I understand that they claim that they are representing the property owners, but I don't believe the perception of that being the case is really out there. I think the property owners need to see some trust and accountability of the board to them and not to the organization.
You've been listening to Meet the Candidate. Our guest, Lloyd Sherman, candidate for the POA board.